How long have you been living out this way, Uncle?
I've been living in Queensland for the last 15 years.
Okay.
Brother here, we went to, with that Arpus Creek, near Conondale, and then we moved from there to Wiruungga Creek, and then they found this property here, then they disappeared, they went up to Stratty, then they come back and they bought this place here. And that's why, and then we were here, then he said, I was out of Wiruungga, they said, come, brother, and I parked my bus there.
Yeah.
And that's where it is now.
And your bus, I mean, I've seen, I first saw you on Instagram. You're a little famous on Instagram.
I'm getting there. I'm not famous, I'm getting there.
But tell me about your bus. What is the significance of your bus?
Unbelievable is a bus that deliver clothing and in remote communities. Black or white, it doesn't matter about the colour. If you need clothes, you need toys. I cater women's refuge for the toys and the baby clothes for them, for domestic violence. And that bus has got 1.5 million on the clock.
Kilometres.
K's, and it still can do another one. But the rust got me on Unbelievable. So it's a tiny house now. And I don't know, it's going to be sad to see it go away from me. And people want to buy the motor, and I said, no, I don't want to do that, because maybe I can get somebody from America or Australia to come and pimp my bus.
Yeah.
Come and pimp my bus for me to keep it on the road, you know, to continue the journey of the clothing, the toys and the gardening. And I take people to support and help pay for fuel and food. And then on the way, I give them culture. I teach them how to track, listen, and smell. Because with all this, they learn it from me. And then I learn from them also. It's a two-way learning. And, I teach them about the medicine. I teach them about the bush tucker. And they get a lot out of it, because it's just not jump in the car, pay for the fuel, and sit back and just sit there and look out the windows, take photos. Nothing about that. You got to sit around. You got to be a family. Sit around a fire at night, talking and sharing the cooking, and And if you're tired when you're driving, they massage your shoulder while you're driving.
Good service.
And I had that done once, and I tell you what, it was so good. I said, "Don't do it too much, because I might go to sleep." So I said, and that was really good, because I had 13 people. We were going to the Kimberleys to put in a big 11 gardens, and we did it 4 months. 4 months we did in the Kimberleys. And we stayed there for the whole 4 months and did our job. A lot of people left before then, because they only had to do 3 months in Australia, and they had to move out because they're global people. And the best way it is, come on to community with somebody local, traditional from the land, Australia, and work together with them and support the local communities to how to build a garden. Because a lot of those communities, the trucks and that takes weeks and weeks to get to some of those communities out there, like to the shops. You got all stale fruit and veggies. So what's better is have your own garden in there on your land. Someone can turn the tap on. That's what I was doing.
Beautiful. And I mean, we're talking about gardens for communities. Like, they're very productive?
Yeah, and now that's what I'm now trying with my artwork, and also with Instagram, and also let people know that and crowdfunding. So crowdfunding, I didn't make too much in 3 months, but I had enough to buy that Jeep. And now I've just put money into the Jeep now to replace all the bits and pieces. And then I'll buy a trailer and I'll continue the journey until I get enough money together to buy a good bus. And then the Jeep's all with the backup. But I need to buy another Toyota because then I've got a backup motor, gearbox, whatever, running gear there. I also still got brand new brakes, pads and handbrake cables and that, I bought when I come back from Europe. And I thought, well, we're going to get it all done, and I was going to put a wooden floor in and a ceiling and a potbelly stove in there. So I'm still going to do that, but as a home for me, But that's different to do what I'd really want to do. Is just my aim for me is just not just taking clothes to remote communities or traveling the world and putting my word out there. My passion is also to build a bush university on medicine, to give people from around the globe to come and spend time with me and to grab a leaf off the tree or the plant and sleep with it for a few days. And if that's the plant you need to take care of, that's the one you're going to plant. You're going to plant a acre or half acre of that type of tree. And all these trees are medicine trees to do with cancer, kidneys, diabetes, and whatever else that you can find, And that's what I would love to do.
Where did you learn all this about medicine? Who taught you?
My great-granny and my grandfather, grandmother, my mother, my father, even my uncles. And I grew up like that, just listening. Because I was a child who I had a speech problem. And in my speech problem, I couldn't pronounce words. So it was easy for me to listen to my great-granny, and I did. So I got the privilege of sitting there and listening to her, what she was telling the stories. She was so powerful, this woman. She was still using the old bush brooms to sweep her place. And then when she passed away, she was over 100 years old. Now, they put on her grave 113, but we know that she was older because my dad said when he was a young man courting his granddaughter, she was a very old woman then, So, but she knew everything. So she showed me the min light. She showed me the blue light. She told all of us stories. She saved us from the welfare systems. A woman like that, or a person like that, to share her knowledge because she knew that she's sharing it with her grandchildren or great-grandchildren. Grandchildren and great-grandchildren in the same place at the same time. There's about 9 or 10 of us sitting there with her, listen to the stories. And she was speaking language all the time. But we understood what she was saying. And it was so beautiful to sit around a fire with your great-grandmother. Even your grandfather in the 4 directions. Because most of the time I grew up in a circle. And the circle, I call it the circle of life. And that circle of life there was 21 children in that circle of life by the 4 grandfathers, by the 4 grandmothers, or 3 grandmothers, and the great-grandmother. And it was like a computer programming us and to make sure that we got it right. I went from 5-year-old right through to about 14-year-old till the last grandfather passed away. And then that left me with all the knowledge and all the wisdom what they put into me to listen. And now most of my stuff is going through my heart work, the dreaming stories, what they tell me. And so I just go flashback straight to the circle, what they said, listen, that's right. And then I dot it down or line it.
And where was that, the location or where you grew up, your nation?
I grew up in the Nambucca, but in a place called Barraville. There's a mission there. And that's where my mother's people come from. And my dad people come from a place around called Yarrapini Mountain. Yunga or Yunkai, we call it in language, means the willy wagtail. And the whale people, So, and salt water and fresh water, So we grew up like that. and working in banana plantations, fishing and surfing. But we had 2 miles to walk to school. But we learnt, had to hunt and gather and listen to the stories, And, you got disciplined. You got a smack. But the smack was let you know that the welfare's out there too. Because I was 10-year-old when my mum died. So that left, I'm a middle child of 11. And, there was 2 died before my mum died. So that made us stronger to listen to my dad and grandmothers, because we didn't want to be taken away and put in homes. You don't see anybody after that because they're all gone. You need to be there to listen and to be strong with the stories that they pass on to you. Because if you don't have that, how are you going to tell your children? I was like, my dad was 8. There was 8 boys in my dad's family and 2 sisters. One was his cousin's sister, but the other 4 sister, but they were sisters and brothers. And my dad was fortunate. He got sent to the homes, but he escaped because he was a fast runner and very quick off his feet, gone. And so we was lucky that we listened. And if we got a smack, that was for a reason, because you wasn't listening. And that black car, it was coming all the time, looking for us. Our grannies and that plant us all the time. Not in the bush. We made too much noise over there. So she put them under the nose where they could not hear us, they could not see us.
Like under the house?
No, under a table. Put a big cloth sheet on it. She done it a few to my great-granny. When they went, we all come out. Every part of that body we grabbed. We told her that, Gran, we love you for saving us from them people. They're wicked people. And she said, no, they're not wicked people. They got a job to do, and this is what they got to do. But why take us away from you? Because we need to learn of you and listen to you. She said, yeah, I know, but they wouldn't have took you. She said, I got that big nulla there stick. I'd have killed all 3 of them. And I said, Gran, you wouldn't do that. She said, you bet. If I didn't kill them, I'd break their legs and arms so they could crawl to their car. I said, oh, my God. Stories like that. That's what, I tell my children now, I tell my grandchildren, So they understand. Listen to your parents. Listen to your dad, your mum, and your grandfather, because they only here for the time, So every morning I wake up happy. We'll come outside there, I'll grab a rake and I'll start raking around the yard, Brother over there, he's raking on that side deal. I'm raking on this side. And then you see the campfires going. The smoke, we smoke in the land to cleanse it. So that's why we have sort of like 3 fires, 2 on that side, 1 on this side. And we just cleanse the whole lot. People, what happens when the fire banned on? We said, that's not our law. That's your law. We're there, we're looking after it, we know what we're doing. And there's always a bottle of water or a bucket of water close by. We ain't going to burn nothing if you keep all the bottom cleaned all the time. So there's stories that you can, I remember, I know a brother from Top End, famous actor. I don't know if I can say his name, but yeah, Mr. Guppily. Mm-hmm. He was coming down to teach people how to burn off in the winter. In the winter time, yeah. So he was, he didn't get here. So, and then, because he did a lot for people, to where everybody go to today. And I just watched last night the Australian movie. And I saw him again, like that. And it was like the spirit touches one another. In my bus, I got Gupperly's pipe, what he smoked.
When you're talking about fire,
yeah,
I mean, in my house we have a fire every night. It's the main part for our connection. We offer food to the fire every meal we have and stuff like that. What's your understanding of all these years of living of how, the importance of having fire?
Fire, I talk to the fire every night, like you. I offered a big avocado the other night. I said, look, this is, I'm going to offer this to you. You can, because I'm having avocado, a bit of a salad, and you can have this here. And I said to the spirit of the wind, the spirit of the fire is enjoying this meal. And I always sometimes take photos of the fire, and it's happy, and it's dancing. And I went, wow, you're happy. You got a good feed tonight, mate. Eh? You know, so, but it's very important to keep that fire burning. You know, it's talking also to the land. You know, I tell people, you know, like, we're star people. We come from up there. When we landed down here on Mother Earth, and the Rainbow Serpent was here creating all the dreaming, you know, the children was here also, started growing here. And they said, people ask you, what children were growing here? And we said, those children, the ones who are reaching up to the sky to give us oxygen, to keep us going without them. In my language, we say buka. We wagin buka, we nothing. So it's important for the trees to keep growing, you know, because we got future generations to come. They deserve to have some trees, at least, and they need to hang out with their brothers or sisters, because Mother Earth, she had them first before us. We come second. And that's my belief. And if you see the web all over the world is that song line, that grid line, and every from around the edges of the ocean, there's all the palm trees and all the trees and that like that, but their roots go under, and they're connected with all the sea plants. And all over the world is zigzag all the way, right across the other side to another island, and a zigzag again, and that one makes up a grid and song lines. So the fish know where to go, the whales know where to go, and the dolphins too, you know. So we're just not an island, an island. We are all connected. And people go, wow, we didn't realise that. Yeah, that's your song lines.
So protecting the song lines
is
basically protecting the environment where you live, protecting the trees, the forests,
the environment, the ocean.
Yeah.
You know, stop this rot of mining the gas out of the Great Barrier Reef. Stop digging the holes, you know, sample now. We've got a big one at the moment here in the Glasshouse Mountain. They've been doing it for 20-something years. Now they want to go deeper. And be doing it deeper, it's not they're going to, what are they going to achieve? If the mountain crumble, the storyline from that mountain, you just only take one mountain to drop the story, and then it won't be the story again. Hundreds of thousands of years, the dreaming stories of those volcanoes, Crooked Top is the oldest son. And if he fall, because he broke law way back then, but don't punish him any further than what they did, you know, because his father turned his back on him. Mother still loved him. And I think if he falls, that mother's going to burst. Then we're in trouble. Well, not me, but they will be. So we need to stop that.
What does that do for a nation? Like in their territory, when their mountains are targeted or their forests are targeted, how does that?
Well, we need to pull together, no matter what race you are. We're all a human race, and that's what the important thing is. This is Mother Earth. We're humans. Let's stand together as one nation of people to be strong. Shoulder to shoulder, lock in, and you can't break that. And that's what we need. There's no colour. We're humans, and that's what they need to see, and they need to understand this, because it's there. You stand there in black and white in front of you, you know, and people think we're silly. Nobody's silly. They weren't born silly or stupid. Common sense. Tell you, you know, eat the bird life. You know, like that. The birds the other day, big bison ear, going that way. Numbled the two magpies, and they stood between me and the snake, and the rest of the birds was attacking it. And then I said, stop, hey, come on. It's not doing any harm. I'll take it away from you. I got a big stick, not killing it, pick it up and brought it to there and left it there. And the bird just calmed down. They were all up the trees again. And then last night, I was walking up towards the house to get drop something down the fridge. The cat was there. And then the cat told me there's a snake. And the snake was wrapped around the tree going over the top. And I went, whoa, okay, how are you? I'm glad you're going up there, to stay away from the chickens. So the animal is working with you also. The birds, the animals, The price he's all right. He's healing to me. He's one of my granny's totems of healing your body for health or sickness or whatever. Yeah, I think I'm going all right at this stage. I like staying away from doctors because if I stick to my own medicine, I think I'm all right.
What's some of the medicine that you would use out here?
I've got gumby, good for any cancers. And then I've got dieberry, it's good for toxins inside your body. Lemon myrtle, sarsaparilla, like lemon myrtle is good for your immunes. Sarsaparilla is good for your lungs, so it keeps your function. Dandelion, good for the liver. So there's so much out here. You got to educate people, and that's what I'm doing. With this other day, Wednesday, and then my brother told you that there were 30 kids here, 30 children, homeschoolers down the road, all come together here around the side, and then I was put them into Dreamtime with my bull roarer and singing with tapstick, and then I showed them my art, and then in the end, after they had a bit of a play, they come back and we did a big dance together, and then they all went home.
How does that, as an elder, how does that make you feel to see all those kids there?
It made me feel really strong inside because these children belong to today's people like that, if you look at it, but they also are responsible for them too. Because if we don't help them, there's going to be nothing for us for the future, for them, because they are the next generations, and that's what we're going to work. We've got to work on the next generation of children. I mean, I've got lots of grandchildren. I need to. I visit one. I saw 3 yesterday. They were so happy. They run and dived on me. So these little kids are also doing the same. Come and cuddle with me and say hello. Why you got a bone in your nose and all this? I said, the bone. I had the big one, and then I said, you know what? The bone in my nose is my chopstick. What? Yes, it's my chopstick. When I go down to get, where you get noodles from, yeah, I said, I whistle up and eat it like that. They said, I take my own one chopstick. They said, I thought you had to have two. I said, no, I got one. I don't need two. But sensitive like that to give them an idea to make them laugh, make them feel good. And then I was teaching them artwork, painting on rocks, and they get to take it home. And some of the kids painted pictures on paper and they give it to me. Said, I did this painting for you. And my name here is Uncle Woo Woo. And in the UK, at a bit of a family over there, my name over there is Mr. Hala. They couldn't pronounce Mr. Koala, so they called him Mr. Hala. So it's good to have lots of names and to share what you got. It's very important to me to continue the journey, because I had brothers die in my arms. So when people die around you and you're close to them as family, what's going on is you really got to think about what you want to do. Now, a lot of my people died before the age of 40 through the bottle, and I was on that way to go to the bottle. But when my second last brother died of leukemia and I was his donor, I couldn't drink or smoke. Had to give him my marrow and everything else. But my ancestors come, 9 of them, and they said to me, we need an elder. It's you. And I spoke in language to them that, when I was a kid, it was like there was three in that room. I had to, and I didn't know this, but I used to walk to a rubbish tip where I grew up with a mission. The mission was set on a rubbish tip and a sewage dump. And I walked over the hill with my uncle to collect scrap metal, and there was 3 graves. I didn't know there were graves. I just saw these rocks falling, and I used to stack them along, around like a grave. And being little, you don't take notice. But those 3 men come to me.
No, they were like your direct ancestors?
They was the apprentice of my great-grandfather. And my great-grandfather was in the same room as me. I never met him. That's my mother's grandfather. And I never met him, but by the G, when you got 9 standing there in spirit world, my dad heard me speaking, and they run to the door, and they couldn't go in because the light come out. Yeah, the light come out, and he tried to open the door, but the force of the light stopped him from opening it. And he thought I had put a knife in the door so I could sleep. No, I didn't. So when the light disappeared in the room, that's when he can open the door. And I was snoring my head off like a koala. He said, and next morning he said to my family, he had a visitor last night. We need to know where he's going today. And so next morning, the kettle was hot. So I got up and had a nice shower, and I went, had a feed. When I opened the front door, he's my brothers and sisters all sitting in my car. I said, and my dad's in the front seat. I said, where are you fellow going? What are you doing in my car? We're waiting for you. Waiting for me? For what? I'm not going nowhere. And I looked at my dad's eye, and I couldn't tell him a black lie. He just looked straight at me. And he said, come on, George, hurry up. Get in the car. I said, ain't you going to shut the house? Just pull the door. He said, make sure that everything off first, and then come out. I did all that, come out, jumped in my car. He gave me the keys. I said, what did you get my keys for? He said, you put it on top of the fridge last night. I said, I can't remember that. But, and so where I went to, all the cemeteries, he knew exactly who was in the room last night. My dad, because he met them. He knew every one of them. And he told my brothers, sisters, but they weren't allowed to go to the car, see? That's the deal. I said, if you all come with me, Auntie, Dad, get out, you just got to stay in the car. But what if you want to smoke? You're not smoking in my car either. You're not getting out. You got to wait till you get home. That was my rule, So, yeah, it was a really good experience to be a donor to your brother, because other brothers, they was abusing themselves with alcohol and stuff like that. So I was lucky that I didn't do that. But I had a major operation myself, and that's what slayed me right now. You can't do anything, But dream time stories and lining up all your sacred sites. I started to walk country. And walking country is really powerful because you're walking and you're searching for sacred sites. You don't search for sacred sites. The sacred sites come to you. And they pop up in front of you and you go, whoa. But if you walk on a woman's site, you'll know it. With the old women, they hit you in the kneecaps. Just below the kneecap, and look at this, look at my little bulges there. Well, they've been hitting me all the time.
Been on a few women's sites.
I said, I know it's here somewhere, bush. Me and my old uncle, we know, we found it. My God. I said, well, that's it. So we record that. And that's why I do the painting. So all the stories, lines are there. And we talk about sacred trees, the ocean, the mountains, the escarpments. But a few years back in the 90s, there was a native title. On native title, people thought we were going to take their farms. They thought the government's going to give you a farm to live on, and they kicked them off. And they asked me the question. I said, no, we don't want your farm. We only want our sacred sites, what's in the mountains. And they said, well, what's this sacred site? I said, our burial sites. We want to have, not permission, but we want to go and cater those people who was here before us, before you, like that, and the rights. So that bit of mountain is sacred to us, and that's what we want. The sacred sites, the sacred Bora rings, everything like that. They said, oh, okay. And then you got people on farms, oh, there's a Bora ring on our property, we better get rid of it. They don't think that's history, but it's also education for their kids also. And then that circle is only for the boys and not for the girls. Over that way is the girl one, not that one. So this is educational way that you can compromise with people that make them understand about sacred sites. You just can't go there until it's like the ancestors will bring you there. And that's the part that I listen to what I know today. If I don't, then I got nothing to share. I'd rather share to all the next generation to come and whatever want to listen. It's their choice. They can listen or not listen.
Do you find that there's more people that want to listen now than, say, 20 years ago?
Yeah. There's a lot of people want that, I was saying today, I grew up, there was some farmers, without saying any names, I was going fishing. And I had my foot through the barbed wire fence. One side and on the other side, I was going through with a fishing line. And then there was a guy pulled up in his car and he said, where are you going? I said, if you let me get through the fence, I will tell you. And he said, well, I'm going to not let you go through the fence. Because he said, I'm going to shoot you if you go through the fence. I said, mate, I didn't do nothing wrong. I only want to go down to the river to catch a fish for the family, I said, why don't you just put your gun away and come down there too? He said, no, I own that river. I said, mate, nobody owns the river. The river owns itself. Water goes anywhere on the land. You can't stop it. When the big flood comes, where is it? Right up to there. Do you own right up to there? I said, how many acres you got? He said, 200 acres. I said, brother, that's a big land. All I want to go to the river, fish. That's all I want. But you can have your land. I'll see you later. So I put my leg back through and I started walking down the road. And I told him when I stopped, I said, that's going to be one big hell of a grave to bury all your family in there. I said, I'm not threatening him or anything like that. I just said that to him, 200 acres is a big land, big country, to just put 5 little people in. That's crazy, I said. Because you want to own the river? I'll see you. And about 2 or 3 weeks later, he's in the main street singing out, brother. I looked around and said, who's this fellow singing out the brother? Who's singing out, brother? And then he came up to me, hey, brother, you know what? I listened to you. You're right. I don't own the river. The river owns us. The land owns us. He said, do you want to come fishing? I said, you bet your sweet Nelly on that. I'll come fishing with you, mate. I said, you promise you're not going to shoot me when I get through the fence? He says, I promise you. We like this today. Yeah, we're still like that, And I said, I'll be damned that I finally got someone like that to understand where I'm coming from. And it only takes a little bit to talk, without arguing or fighting or whatever.
Listening.
And by listening to one another, understanding and education.
Do you find like everything that's going on right now in Australia, we talk about a voice and talking, and that's an example of listening, and it really comes down to, I don't want to say both sides, but everyone kind of sitting down and listening and understanding that we are on land as, descendants of Europeans, for example. That's not our land. And we need to listen to traditional owners. We need to know, all right, we legally have bought this land or whatever, but we need to understand that land has a sacred space. We need to take care of that, because if we don't, that's going to affect our family.
That's right. You're going to go down. Yeah, that's what we're trying to avoid. that bit. Because here, there's people contacted me to go out and look at their country, their bit of land they bought like a farmer. And I said, yes, no problem. They said, how much money you want to go and do that? I said, it's not about money. I said, if you pay for my petrol and feed me for a day, and if you want to give me a donation, that's up to you. All I want to do is go out there with you, and you can walk beside me, and then I can show you what there. But I've got to get permission from the local traditional mob first. And they go, what? I said, I'm from Australia, but I still got to get permission from the traditional owners of the land and the country I'm in. And they went, wow, we never knew that. I said, yeah, exactly like that. But I said, you can go and ask them, and they'll probably do it for you, like that. Same thing. They can bypass me, that's all right. I've got no problem. But I'm just letting you know, like a protocol of culture, of First Nation people, how they operate. It's not about an ego tripper. There is a lot of ego, but for me, I'm only trying to support and help what you've got. So if you can understand that, yeah. And with this thing what's happening now in Australia, I feel that nobody knows if they're Arthur or Martha where this thing is coming from and where it's going to, because it's we thought just Indigenous were going to vote, but now there's non-Indigenous, and that seemed fishy to me too, but it's all right. It's all right in a way, because we can see there's going to be a divide and conquer. So there's going to be two races here and two races here. But we don't want that. We want people to be Australian, working together. And we don't want to divide. We're human beings of this planet. So a voice, we got voice there in government already, in a lot of parliaments. We got a voice. But I think, to me, personally, I don't want a Labor Party. I don't want a Liberal Party. I want a people party for the people of the land who's going to take care of everything in that way. So people can understand and get out there, mingle with the people. And don't bring them all down. Just work with them. Because I can see another land grab, a lot of promises, and they'll have the rights because everybody said yes. I see a lot of non-Indigenous people now walking around with T-shirts and badges with yes on it, and I don't see any people walking around with no, because they know it's not the answer for yes. That's only my personal, but there's a lot of my people down south now is saying no. It might benefit the people who get funding off the government. I understand that. They got to say yes, but to me, I'm not. But I'm going to still continue my journey for what I got to do. It's to support my people all over Australia and giving them. I'm like the Black Santa, and I believe in you help people, you will get the gold back. What you give out, you get back. On the animals, the birds, these two here, see them two there? They spoilt.
The magpies?
Yeah, I call them numble. They spoilt. They eat off my plate. I got to say, stop, come on. Yeah. So they're so good because that's how we all should be, working together and listening. They listen to me, and we speak the same language, I hope, don't we? Numble. Come on. Well, by working with them two, if they build a nest and they have babies, they ain't going to attack you. They're going to attack other people, and they've done that all their life. So it's funny, they was copying humans only. This is my place. This is our place. Get out. Now, as First Nation person, I believe in that we're gonna get through this. It might take up to 2026, but we'll come out the other side in the 2027. And we got to survive that era. If we come before that, we're good. It's only a start, and people are thinking to be together as humans. That's just my way of thinking. And yeah, I sometimes I can't believe the things I hear. And I mean, you could cry, you can be angry, you can laugh. So morning, I wake up with bright colours in the morning, and I have a beautiful day. You know, laughing and make people laugh, talking. Yeah, little things like that. It doesn't take much. And to say hello and just give somebody a heart-to-heart cuddle, it doesn't cost you nothing. Say, hey, welcome, thank you. And this, I hear them talk about the welcome to country. Why not? What's the matter with it? You only just explain to the people that, like you said about a sacred site over there, welcome to country, but I've got to let you know that there's 2 sacred sites over there. Be careful, don't take your girls there, don't take your boys there. And little things like that goes a long way through generations of generations. Because something happened there, nobody told them, the real estate didn't tell them there's a sacred site. And what happens? The kids get sick. The husband and the wife breaks up. They don't know what's going on because it's just like building a house on a cemetery because all them people down there just want peace. You wouldn't think so, but that's it. And you know, when I was a young fella, motel was a cemetery. When I hitchhiked from the north coast, mid coast, from Nambucca to Sydney, I used to pull up at Newcastle Cemetery, and that's my bed for the night. Yeah.
How was that?
Oh, I have a good sleep. I got no problem. Nobody's going to wake me up. They might look at me. Cut your snoring out. Stop your not snoring. You're snoring too loud. When I go to sleep, I go to sleep. And I wake up real fresh. And a friend of mine, he said, I'm not sleeping in no cemetery. I'm going to go over to that phone box over there. I said, good luck. He didn't get to sleep. The next morning I got up, I got a ride straight to Sydney, and I saw him, and he never come out of that phone box. He would features like that. And then I met him in Sydney. I said, how'd you go? You sleep in that phone box? He said, yeah. I said, you had to sleep? He said, no. Everybody wanted to get in there to ring up the taxi. And they were banging the door, kicking the door, said, open the door, mate. Come on. We only want to ring a taxi. He said, go away, go away, go away. Leave me alone. He didn't even own the place. I said, oh, well, I had a good sleep. All them people over there, they was smiling at me and looking at me, said, you enjoy, mate. We're not going to disturb you. That's the way I felt anyway. And little things like that is unreal. But he thought he was going to get a motel. You know, it was a motel to me, all these headstones. I said, we cross the road here, mate. Pull up here, mate, and just let us out here. We'll go across the road. We're here. He said, I ain't staying in there. There's too many ghosts in there. I said, oh, you're scaredy cat, ain't you? Yeah, little things like that I treasure, you know, that I would sleep in a cemetery any day. I'm not scared. I'm not scared of the Yowie or the Bigfoot. To me, he's just another light being like us. And we all treaded together on this country. And we will stand up together if it comes through the crunch. But it's really good. And I feel good today. And having a yarn with you, it's really good.
I was wondering if, it's been very enjoyable to sit here with you and talk. I was wondering, we were talking before about listening, and I think it's a really good thing for people out there to hear kind of stories from elders. And I was wondering if there's a story that you could tell us, like a Dreamtime story or something for people to listen to.
Yeah, I mean, a good story is like even a good kid's story, you know. I would get off on it. It's a really nice stories because it starts with a little green frog on a lily pond called Tiddlix. And Tiddlix is a happy-go-lucky little frog, and he meant no harm to anybody. But one day, Tiddlix got very thirsty, and he drank the billabong. Then he drank the creek, and then he drank all the water in the river. And then he was so big, he was like a big blob, and he blah, 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 blah. And all the animals and all the birds and all the insects and reptiles. They said, Tiddlix, we got no water for our children. What are you doing? And he said, oh, I was just thirsty. Well, can you give us some back? He said, what? No, I'm looking for more water. And they sort of like trying to work out, how can we get this water out of Tiddlix? He's so big, he's so tall. So everybody tried. Everybody comes from different tribal ways to try and get him to let go of the water. And there was nobody. Nobody could do it. They were tickling his feet, they were tickling his leg, and they were slapping him, and they were bouncing on his belly. And he'd be boom, 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 boom. That's what Tiddlix. He was just this beautiful little frog, and he was just enjoying the sunlight and all. He wanted more water. If there was more water, he'd drink more. But he couldn't budge because he was so big. And all the mothers saying, Tiddlix, please, our baby's got no water. Can you help us, please? Just a little bit to give him water like that. So everybody tried. And then the old kookaburra came. He said, what's going on? I never heard this news. What's going on here? And he said, they said to him, Tiddlix drunk all the water from the Billabong, all the rivers, the creeks, like that, and the dams. There's no water left. And he said, well, maybe I could try. And they said, well, good luck if you can do this. And because our baby's got no water and they're going to die of thirst, you know. Okay. So Tiddlix go up and he said, hey, how you going? Like this is the kookaburra said to Tiddlix, how you going? And Tiddlix said, I'm good. And he said, can I tell you a story? Like that? He said, yeah, tell me a story. Or tell me not only a story, but he said, how could I make you give me some water to the little children? And he said, well, I don't know. So the kookaburra said, sat on the branch right beside him and said, okay. And he went, and he started laughing, the kookaburra did. Until he started, he was so laughing that the water was coming out of his mouth and started to fill up the creek, started to fill up the dam, started to fill up the Billabong, and the river started flowing again. And Tiddlix went down to a little frog. And that's the story of Tiddlix. And all the mums and all the children were diving in the water, drinking it. They were so happy. And they thanked Tiddlix and they thanked the kookaburra for making him laugh. He laughed so much that all the water was gone. Not wasted, but went back into the same places where he drunk it all. So that's stories like that if human beings are the same, everything can be pulled together and united as one. And it doesn't take that much. And I love my kookaburra. It's good for kids when they go,
Yeah. So the teaching there is if we come together with laughter or work as one or...
Yeah. We got to educate people, but also the first is, to keep our future generation educated, not be a scientist, and be aware that working together, building that bridge, that we can unite as people, as humans. Not anybody better than another. I'm no better than you. I'm no better than the magpie. We all got to live here together as much as we can. Someone get angry or whatever, you just smile and say, thank you. Walk away from it. It makes you a better man, a better person by walking away from it and just smile. It adds them more because they're so angry inside. And the magpies will do the same to you. If you don't look after them, respect them, they're going to attack you because next time they have babies, they're going to do that. They say, nah, this is my territory. I'm going to dart you. So that's why I look after these two here. Oh, they look after me too. Of course, the snakes, I didn't, I've been bit by a snake, but when I was very young. So these fellas are my bodyguards in a way. So I like to enjoy their company, even when I'm painting. They sit up there and I'll say, not time for a feed yet, just wait. There's plenty of water, I'll put some more water out for you. Go and have a swim. So your communication, and you communicate with them as human to a bird. You're not going silly. It's just natural. So yeah, I'm glad you had some good interviews with people. And, it's going to go a long way because different people got different spirits and different minds. But not only different spirit and a different mind, we come from all different walks of life. And that walk of life, it makes us who we are today. And one of my things is I did listen when I was little, and sometimes I still listen now. Only, it's not, I don't want to listen. I listen to that spirit of the wind. And that spirit of the wind tells me. And then the sunshine and the moon at night, so beautiful. Yeah, I've got some water there, sacred water I put out tonight, and my crystal put out tonight and energize it. So when you walk with energy as human. Yeah, no.
Yeah, thanks very much, Uncle, for taking the time and wanting to sit here and talk. And is your bus campaign still online? Can people find you somewhere?
No, it's not.
How can people find you?
I'll have to try and set it up again to make it.
But you're on Instagram or?
I'm on Instagram.
Yeah, we'll put on the podcast notes. We'll put a link to your Instagram so people can find you and follow your work. You're an artist as well.
I'm an artist, and I'll show you some of that work. Yeah, my partner's trying to put them on now, and other people are trying to come and help me to do that too. But I'm trying to sell that to also put money in to buy a new bus. I'm not just going for, I'll sit back and wait for you to build the money up from other people. It's not that. I want to throw a painting in there, like that. If people want to buy the painting and then the money goes in, like that, it works that way too, And I find that I'm not sitting back. I'm willing to do this. And when I come back from over Guatemala and Dubai, I might have enough to do it. If not, I'm going to do a 22-piece bark paintings, traditional, and have an exhibition, 2 exhibition places, and I'll have a bus by people supporting me on that. I think that's the way to do it. And there's not many people do an old-style traditional way of bark paintings. There is some up at the top ends and that, but not on this side of me, I know. But, I'm not going to kill the tree. I spend time with that tree and I have a little piece of bark. And I don't ring the bark the tree. I just cut a square, not even a square, so oblong or whatever you want to call it. Same as having my paintings. And that tree, the bark will grow back. I'll give you an example. I went to Derby, in Western Australia. Over there, they had this big boab tree. Now, that big boab tree became a prison for my people. The chains and that on the walls. And they put 2 windows in the door. And that's where they locked them up. Now, the windows are shut. The door is closing. And once it's closed, then the spirits are sealed. But that tree is so many, well, they say 100, but I reckon it's thousands, or might be 1,000 years old or 5,000, whatever it is. Anyway, it's still got fruit. She's still fruiting. And next door, just down the road, is a great big prison, a really big prison. I took the wrong road. I drove into the real prison, that prison, and I said, oh, wow, they built a real prison now? Yeah, but the original is the old tree. Yeah, and it takes people, when you go there with respect, and you'll feel the spirit of there. The people was there in that time, in the 1800s, in the 1700s, just after the settlers got here. Yeah, so things like that is is a tree, you know, sacred trees. And I just couldn't believe it. But I will get there with support. I've still got some people who's going to send some money to me from the UK. So they'll add. Only trouble is, there's no trouble really. I just got to work out how do they do it without the, well, I don't know if you might cut this off, but Centrelink don't slam me with take away my pension. You know, things like that. I mean, if they write a gift, I think I should be all right. And what it's for, because I don't want it personally for me. That's my personal stuff there. I live in that. I don't need a second home. I've already got a home. I only need a bus to put 10 people, 15 people in it, to take them out west to make gardens and to deliver all this. So things like that, yeah, we might have to stop.
Yeah, we've got a mower
Yeah.
inbound.
Yeah.
Well, I'll put in the podcast notes a way to get in contact with you, and if anyone out there wants to donate and help you in your journey, then we can.
That would be nice.
Make that possible. So
that would be nice.
Yeah.
Is he coming straight to you or not?
He's turning around, but might have to cut it short.
Yeah, he's only renting anyway.
Yeah.
But the owner,
Yeah.
he's on holidays. He's a renter.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks very much, Uncle.
Hey,
Wiruungga, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for
It's
talking
a
to me.
pleasure. Yeah, and I'm still dancing at 70. And I told the doctor I'm going to be dancing when I'm 99. I've got another 30 years yet.
Heaps of time.
I'll be here for a while.
Yeah, you will.
Tell the stories.
Yeah, we'll have to come back and do another episode.
Yeah, I also, my painting, I've got a big painting there called Life. It's my journey from when I was little right up to the age of 50 in black and white. So yeah, that's life. Oh no, it's really good.
Thank you.
Somos la tierra, somos la vida, somos la luna, la estrella y el mar.